my name is Sebastian Davis Ngida, a director at KENCTAD, where I'm also the ESG lead. KENCTAD is a trade and development organization based here in Nairobi, Kenya. One of the thematic areas that we look at is sustainability, which is now where topics like ESG and shared value kind of fall under, or we collaborate under. And it is an honor for me, for the team at Shared Value Africa Initiative, to kind of allow me to share my thoughts on the nexus between the two topics, shared value and ESG. And the reason why I'm excited about this is because these two concepts kind of have two things that are very similar, like the intention is very similar, and that is promoting responsible business practices and sustainable business practices. And at the very core of it, these two topics kind of ensure two things, and that is the long-term benefits for the business and the long-term benefits for society. Speaking of society, when you look at the concept of shared value, it insists on businesses not just focusing on the economic value that they get out of what it is that they're doing. Like, yes, profits are good, and that is why some people start businesses and even corporates start businesses, but that should not be the only thing that you're focusing on. There is also the aspect of how is this society or this community that you're operating in faring on. And so as a business, shared value allows you to kind of widen your scope or your perspective into now looking at, okay, yes, we are making profit as a manufacturing company. We are selling bread, we are selling tissue paper, we are selling whatever it is that you're selling or you're manufacturing. But how is this affecting the communities that you're operating in? And the advantage of shared value is by doing this societal activities or community activities and being like embedding them as part of your business, it actually opens you up to the other opportunities that you might have missed. You might be like, okay, let's help the young mothers in these communities that we're operating in. And then in your strategy and your implementation of this project that you come up with, you actually see another opportunity. For case in point, if you're in manufacturing and you make tissue, you can be like, oh, so I can make this other type of tissue that would actually focus on this market. So participating in this kind of opportunities, on these activities, kind of opens you up to other opportunities. And now your impact is not just about the profit that you're making, but also the positive impact that you're having in the community. Back in the days, this used to be known as CSR, but it really isn't. It's CSI now. It's corporate social investment, where it's part of what you do. It's not a thing that you do as a by the way. You've made X amount of money in profit, and you're like, let's throw part of it back to the community. ESG, on the other hand, provides a framework. ESG is the environment, social, and governance. And what it does is now, it allows you to look at, okay, from a social perspective, what are the metrics? Like ESG is not just now a thing. It's now the metrics where now you can be like, okay, as a company, as we are getting into this shared value concept, let's measure our impact in metrics for the environmental things that we're doing. If it's trees you're planting, which is now what most people do when you're talking about environmental impact, how many trees are you growing? Not planting. How many trees are you growing? And even having that mindset of we are growing trees as opposed to planting trees is a framework or a metric that now ESG provides. When it comes to social, it's now the thing of how are you treating the people that you work with? How are you treating the communities that you work with? Are you providing a safe environment? Are you having people culture, like making sure there's gender equality and equity in the workplace? And not just doing it or having it on paper, but also having like a measure for how do you know if you're actually making a positive impact or not, and what are the things that you need to tweak. When it comes to governance, it's your relationship with your employees, relationship with your investors, relationship with your suppliers, and basically anyone who your business interacts with. So the shared value kind of nudges you into the right direction of the things that you need to do. And then now the ESG bit of it kind of gives you the framework to measure the metrics, so that when you sit down as a company and you're putting out a sustainability report, there's actually a point of reference. I know I've been very vocal about the idea of having our own African metric that is not just based on foreign metrics and ESG metric or platforms, And that is a conversation we can have another day. But the nexus between these two, which is what I want to talk about, is both of them advocate for one thing, for two things: responsible business and good business. Sustainable practices and good business, sorry. And at the end of it, it's about the long-term benefits, the long-term value for the business and the communities that we operate in. And so as a business, have a minute to yourself. If you need to engage an outside consultant, you do that. If you need to bring on board someone who's going to be there full-time, you do that. But I don't think we are now with the benefit of time. If you're a business, we are getting to a point where now there is compliance that is required. There's compliance that has to be met. There are now measures that now you have to do. And the best thing that you can do for your business is to be intentional about your shared value concept and adaptation and the ESG frameworks that you're going to have in place, and just do good business. Anyway, I get emotional when I'm talking about these two topics, as you can tell, but I'm also hoping that I'm going to see you on the 24th and 25th of October at the Shared Value Africa Summit, and I'll see you next time.